Hey guys, welcome to Hardcore Metal Detecting. I'm Derek Asklar. Craig Talley's on the line, and we'll be hosting the show tonight. Kind of getting ready, Craig, already, man. The temperatures finally dropped down here. Heard tale of it getting down into the 40s sometime this week. But yeah, woke up.
We had frost today in the morning.
Yeah.
First one.
Yeah, I was like down here. It was 90 degrees the day before or better. And then the next morning, it's like, thank God it's here. I'm actually planning to go out hunting at that tree property, with a big old tree on it and everything. Just messaged him, and I can finally start really hunting and not dying of heat exhaustion out there. So it's kind of nice. Just getting into the season now for us. Of course, we're in January. We're out here hunting, and a lot of you people are under, in snow or, can't hunt or whatever. But Craig and I was kind of talking to Craig about it earlier on, just before the show. Greg does a lot more videos lately than I've been doing, but, the things that people want to see in a video, metal detecting video, that kind of thing. And, we watch so many, and, you guys do too. And, we were trying to get a mind wrapped around it, because Craig and I have kind of more of a direct approach, I think, to the video deal, where you have some that are, I don't know, Craig, what you call it, drama and, jumping around and everything else like that. And then other ones are, very scientific about, just a whole genre of detecting styles, with the length of intros and stuff. Because there's some, Craig, that, I'll put on there, and, you see like a 2-minute long kind of intro kind of thing. And we used to do them too like that. But I found myself just kind of fast forwarding, because once you see the same intro, you're watching it over and over again. If you watch several videos by the same person, trying to change those up is kind of a big deal, because they're more elaborate and a lot more editing. At least that's what I think, Craig. I don't know. But once you see it once or twice, you can kind of, you just kind of fast forward into the actual video itself. And that's just kind of what I do sometimes. Just get to the meat and potatoes of it all.
Well, I look at the analytics a little bit on, my videos, and a lot of it is how long you retain the person watching your videos, and I think that, no matter what it is, if you have, like double the amount of minutes persons, people are averaging watching that video, and, that's probably a pretty good video,
Right.
Something's going on where they like that, but, I do videos, usually I'll wait till I find something fairly good to show, I don't sit there and do videos just to do a video, I know there's some YouTube stars that, kind of have to do it because it's become a business, they have to put up, content constantly, but, if I have, I might put up one every week, or sometimes I put one up every 2 or 3 weeks. But, I think also, it's a kind of how to catch people. There's certain keywords that you can use to try to draw people in. But YouTube is suddenly saying that some people are clickbaiting, or basically are being bad because they're putting false headers up, on their videos, and,
Right. I'm not even talking from, I know where you're getting at with it, Craig, because it does get annoying after a while. Some of it's not everybody. I find that the people in this hobby are a lot more, I don't know, we like the hobby itself and everything, but, we're into a certain style of video. I mean, some of this stuff is, these other videos are just ridiculous, or whatever, stupid, whatever you want to call it. But the bait and switch kind of keeping you on watching that video for a certain amount of time because they're trying to get monetization, amount of points or whatever. Well, I can see where that happens. I just don't, I guess I don't like
I'll
the
tell you
idea.
another thing I noticed, guys will have several hobbies and they'll kind of combine them. If they don't have any good finds in metal detecting, they'll bring in some other,
I think that's more creative itself.
I I see a lot of guys doing nature hikes and exploring and different things like that, which is fine, but it's not metal detecting. That's what people
too.
are really clicking on to see. And but that's just my opinion. I do it myself sometimes. I do reviews on. I did some on my Merle, hiking boots that I have, and I did. I've done a couple on a couple tools. My shovel. I've done it on the headphones, on the pinpointer.
You always seem to do it in a metal detecting video or that style of video. That makes it pertinent to the hobby, pertinent to what I don't mind that at all because all it's doing is giving people ideas of what they might want to buy or what brand.
Yesterday I put up a video. I did. I bought this. It's a what do you call it? You put it over the ears of the
coil ear protector. We'll call it that.
And it slides over the ears of the Equinox.
The lower detector shaft.
You bolt it in, and it stabilizes it so it won't break those ears. You won't have any problem. Well, I got one, and I have the Telenox shaft system. So the fiber optics and telescopes, and there's about maybe a 1/16 of an inch. It won't. I can't get the bolt through. So I decided, I'll put it up for a giveaway. So if you go onto my YouTube channel, Craig Talley, Hardcore Metal Detecting, and just comment, I'd like to, have this, and subscribe to my channel, then you're in the running. It's going to run for 2 weeks. But anyway, I think it's a really good, it's a really good. I wish it would work, on my system. It works fine on all the other ones, from what I'm hearing. But the
only way I can think of doing is drilling it out. But by then you've taken the integrity away of whichever part you're drilling on.
Actually, no. I needed to. I could shave the bottom of it. If I shave the bottom.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's what I need to do. I need to bring it down a little bit more so that, that the end of that pole can go down a little further so I can get that screw in.
Too bad you don't have a disc sander. Disc sander would be perfect. Just run that right over it, real quick and just take that micro. Yeah, that wouldn't be too bad at all. I thought you had to drill the hole out or whatever. It wouldn't fit in that way. But, yeah.
Well, anyway, Don said he would have. He said he would have, donated, that plus giving me my money back. But he appreciated me doing the video.
Oh yeah.
And I've gotten about 150 people, watched it, and I've got I think about 10 people that want to go in the running so far to win it. But he does it with 3D printing, and his you can go on to detectingdoodads.com. That's his website. He makes all kinds of products. We've talked about it before, and I got a message from Seven on my YouTube channel and on the video today, and he said that he bought one of those camera mounts for his AT Pro.
Yeah, he has a lot of that kind of stuff.
And he said it's the best one he's had, so he said it works really good. And then another guy told me that Don's also made headphones for the Deus, and a lot of people like those. So it's pretty cool. He's a kind of a genius. He can come up with all these inventions, inventions that are kind of thinking outside the box, to make our products better.
Yeah, it makes displays too, Craig. Did you click around on there and see the projects?
Yeah.
That was pretty cool to it essentially turns and shows, like if you put a Civil War bullet or a coin or whatever, he has these different holders for them, and it it'll turn around, just spin it around for you so you can put it in like a showcase up there or on a shelf, and it would just continually turn. I thought it was kind of cool idea myself, when you make a really nice find to put it on that to display
Oh
it.
yeah.
And the camera mounts, the flash, the lights too. I like for the AT Pro and a couple other detectors. It's essentially a LED flex hose light, I guess you could say, and you can kind of point it right toward your screen on your detector. And if you're night hunting, you can see all of the what it's saying on there if you wanted. Or they also have the ones that mount to the detector shaft. So beach hunting does help out a lot. But yeah,
but check out detectingdoodads.com. It's it's pretty cool. He's he definitely has some pretty neat stuff on there.
Yeah, we know him through Chris Angle, I think, Craig. Yes, that's who we know him through because Chris used to hunt with him. I may still also, but he makes a lot of neat stuff. I liked his website. That's pretty nice. But yeah, I mean, as far as making the videos, Craig, you have your own style. I think everybody has a style of it, but I mean, what do people really want to see in the hobby? What do they want to see? Do they want to see where you're just showing the finds, or you want to see it being dug up? I like the ones where they're kind of metal detecting along, trying to do something different. And it happened with Darren Groves a lot when he was making his videos. He's trying to do a particular kind of test. All of a sudden, he'll get a different signal. It wasn't part of the video, wasn't supposed to be part of it, and he ends up digging it and finding something pretty cool. I always like those kind of videos where even the person that's making the video doesn't know what they're gonna, do next. You know what I mean? It's more realistic or reality kind of video.
Well, it's kind of like your adventure that day is kind of the video. That's the way I do it. It's I don't plan anything particularly. I just when I get a good signal, I may, a lot of times I don't, lately I've been showing the signal, or letting people hear the signal if I get a nice high tone or something, with the Equinox, but normally I didn't do that in the past with, the Bliss tool or anything because, the sound didn't tell you anything really, or the meter, because it didn't have one, but, it's, people have different methods of doing it. I try to do it fairly quick. I don't want to be real drawn out. Some people take forever, to get the target out of the hole with,
Yeah, I find myself editing that part.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that sit there and, obviously they're not, I know there's a lot of pressure on the guys that, have a lot of subscribers and everything. It's a lot of these guys, it's become their business, and they're making money on it. They don't have to work, a regular job anymore, but, you got to watch it, because you can.
No, it can go away real fast. Yeah, it can go away real fast.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've always wanted to get to the meat and potatoes of the video. I felt, making them back, even our testing method or my testing method on detectors is a lot more conformed or the same for everyone I test, because nothing used to get me where you have a guy testing one detector and then all of a sudden he's changing up the whole test for another one. Well, you can't compare the two then because it's two different kinds of tests. You know what I mean, Craig? He's a guy like burying a 7-inch dime, 8-inch dime, 10-inch dime, whatever, but keeping that the same when you're testing out another or comparing another detector. You're doing it on the same kind of equal ground. It's going to either do better or worse. That kind of video versus, how can you pair?
With the Equinox, and these, with this new iron bias trying stuff, and it's like today I went out right in front of the door of the shed. I got a high tone mixed, and I dug six nails out of the hole. Finally, I got a wheat penny, and it was down probably 7 or 8 inches deep. But I just decided to try these new settings. I was watching a guy, I believe, up in Pennsylvania, and he was talking about these new settings. So it was Field 1, and he had the recovery speed at 4, which I already had that at 4, mine on 4. I find that's the deepest that you can use. Every time I try to use 3, it seems to be all staticky. You know, it doesn't seem to be. It just doesn't. It's just kind of falsy kind of sound.
Right.
Like it's too slow, maybe. I don't know. But anyway, 4 works fine. And what else? I had the iron bias was FE at 1, which is not much at all. No, not much bias at all. And so I went out there, and this is right in this same spot. I dug a Boy Scout token in the size of $50 or bigger, and I dug I think 2 or 3 buffalo nickels, a silver nickel, a bunch of buttons, eagle button, probably 3 or 4 tomback buttons. I dug that little silver driver's medal from World War II. Just random coins, and I go right out there and I get this signal, and I dig six nails, and then I get a wheat penny down 9 inches deep. It's just crazy. Just using this new program, all of a sudden that signal popped through.
Yeah, that new program is amazing.
Yeah, but every day I go out there and I try something new, or I'll maybe I'll listen and then I'll shift it a little bit to see if it improves the signal a little bit more. But this machine can do a lot. I mean, it has a lot more control to it than I think a lot of people realize, especially with this new iron bias.
Yeah, even Relic, Lloyd from Relic's Radio was saying on chat here, he said you have 2 iron biases to knock out bottle caps, according to Debbie with Mind Lab. But it may be doing more. I can tell the steel bottle caps. They almost give like a high signal, like a high sound. Mm-hmm.
But they read like a nickel, or 15, and they have a scratchy sound to them. It's a scratchy high, kind of almost a high. It kind of comes and goes. It depends on how rusty they are.
Right.
But
and it's very hard for. I guess we should say that. Like quarters. It used to be where quarters on a White's machine and bottle caps ring up really doggone close. I mean, if anything, you thought. They had a few other analysis screens you could switch over to, but it's always been pretty hard for a detector. I don't know about these newer ones, but per se, but in the last, I don't know, Craig, before about 4 years ago, they were, they'd read up just as like quarters, bottle caps would. So it's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, I remember, God, I can't remember what machine I used to have, and it drove me crazy.
My MXT was, yeah. Eat up them damn bottle caps.
It didn't seem to be any nuance in the sound either.
Yeah. Well, there was, and once you started learning how to listen for that, and the way that you lock onto them, I mean, that's it's just not something you would. I don't know. You can't. How do you explain a nuance? You can't. You can't do it really. I mean, other than saying high peaks, tweaks, that kind of thing. But with that machine, with the MXT, with the the Spectra V3, the good machines, I could tell the difference between bottle caps. There was differences in the sound, and that's what it came down to. Now with the Spectra V3i, they had a wavelength kind of looking analysis screen, and you can go over them, and I think the quarter would be a nice rounded loop where the bottle cap would be a scratchy line or something like that. It was kind of a weird screen, but it worked. I mean, it was consistent anyway. So yeah, they've obviously found a new way to discriminate them out pretty good, because you mentioned that before, that you dug like 10 of them, like a whole bottle cap spill by the fence and everything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy.
I got 11. I was using a Blitz tool the other day, and I knew it was a sound, but I was clearing that out along the fence because that's where I found a lot of coins, and
Right.
I did find 2 wheat pennies and one copper penny, but anyway, when I was digging out the hole, I think it was 11 or 12 steel bottle caps out of one hole. Some of them were down 9 inches deep, and while I was digging, I found a clay marble. So it wasn't all bad.
Well, they said there was a post by somebody or another. I think it was about your. I don't know if it was about your photos or not. There was a photo up that had, like a clay marble and several glass marbles and some pennies. I don't know if that was you or not, Craig. But
Yeah.
anyways, he made a comment about it being after 1866 or 1886. I can't remember what it was. Most of the or 1888 or something like that. Anyways, after that time, it were mostly glass marbles, but before that, primarily clay. So you kind of classified it right there. I didn't realize there was a date that those, there was a junction point where it went from clay to glass, which is kind of neat. I mean, it dates your site.
Even see them really early in the 1800s on sites. I think maybe they even used them during the late 1700s maybe, but I found if you notice that one in that picture, that's normally not what color you find them. That was a different kind of clay, reddish or orangish clay or something, because and that's the second or third one I found in the yard that was the same color. And they're not metallic. I just eyeball them in the holes. I found porcelain buttons and things like that too. But I even found a pipe stem that same day. I think that's on that same picture.
Mm-hmm.
I found one. I was down at the site down the street. I'm hunting along one day, and I look ahead of me, and I see a round ball laying on the ground. Oh man, there's a round ball. It was right after a real heavy rain, and so I go over it, and there's no signal. I'm like, what? What the heck's going on? And I reached down and this clay marble, but it was like a tannish white color,
Oh god, yeah, he thought it was a patina on a bullet.
and most of the clay marbles are white or clear, tannish,
Mm-hmm.
But the couple that I found in the yard, maybe 3, I think, might have found 3, but they've all been like almost a orangish red color.
Right. Yeah, speaking of finds, I was on Mark Hoover's site, Adventures in History on Facebook, Craig. He had a guy on there, I think he's at the Digging in Georgia event. I wasn't familiar with that one, or didn't remember that one, but at any rate, he found a coin. It was a gold, I think it was a gold coin, and it was dated, I want to say 1772 or 74, but it was not, they kept on saying it's not a seated, it's a non-seated, I guess it was be a Liberty gold thaler. Does that make sense? I have to go back over there and check it out. Let me flip around here a little bit and find it. But I just thought it was neat because it predated
1700s. That would have been Spanish probably.
Well, that's what I thought too. The way they said it was. I got to flip over here and make sure. I'm sorry, Craig.
It's probably a Scudo or something.
I don't know. Let me see here. I don't know if they ever came out and said it or not. Adventures in History. Yeah. Well, anyways, it was a cool find. Anyway, but I just thought the date was, if that was American or whatever, that'd be like the first coin ever minted or something like that for the new, because of, before the independence, anyways. So that's why I thought it was going to be.
Brad from Green Mountain Metal Detecting, and he does a really good YouTube channel. Watch his stuff. He finds really awesome stuff up in Vermont, but he reads, I think this year he found a gold coin, and it was, I think, a Tua Studo, Spanish, Mexico mint, and it was 1774, I believe. But People, relic hunters in that kind of area where I found all these reals, within about a 10-mile square area. There was a lot of stuff that was found there because it was so close to the main port that closed in 1767 and moved up to Alexandria. But there was Spanish coins. They actually did a map of where they'd been found by relic hunters, and they just kept spreading out and spreading out. Mm-hmm. And the closer they were to that area, the coins were whole that were found. But the further you got away from it, the more they were cut. So that was pretty interesting. But there was a couple people that told me that they'd either found or they knew people that had found Escudos, but very rare find.
I can't tell what this is, though, Craig. Kenneth Arrington found it. Mark posted it up. This is congratulations. Ken found a gold coin, not seeded, at the Digging in Georgia Live, event. Digging in Georgia Live, whatever. But even when I pull the photo up, the last two numbers are 72. It looks like to me in the photo, and I can't zoom in with this particular photo for some reason. But it's also holed, like somebody wore it as jewelry or whatever, or sewed it into something, which I've always thought makes it extra character for the find or whatever. But it looks like, maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. I am with the way I am with the spelling and everything else, Craig, it seems like anymore. But I thought maybe it is Spanish. I can't really tell. It just has a lot of dirt on it, is what it amounts to. But I never saw him come out and say exactly what coin it was.
It definitely wouldn't be a U.S. coin.
Well, that's what I was thinking too. If it was, it'd have to be one of the first ones implemented, at that time. But yeah, it has to be Spanish. Then. Yeah, it's a left-facing with a crown on it. It has to be a king or maybe it's a king. I can't even tell. I haven't seen it before.
It's probably King Charles.
Yeah, possibly.
Does it say? I don't know if it would say Corellius or Charles or what.
Yeah, I just can't read it on my computer. Somebody else might be able to. Maybe let me clear out of this. Bill Marsh probably knows.
It has the same look as a real from that same period, almost the same style with the same king's head, probably.
Yeah, what Lloyd's saying here he said that it was a seeded hunt, but the find was a natural find. It's 1800s. Okay, thanks, Lloyd. I just couldn't read it on my computer. Or zoom it in anymore. Yeah, he said it's 18. I knew it said 18 or 72 at the end, but it looked like I couldn't tell. It almost looked like 17. But that's just my computer for you. Well, I'm glad you filled us in, Loy. I figured Bill Marsh would be on there because Bill knows a lot about all this stuff. Seems like he's always bouncing around and finds. I think we actually look at the same videos half the time. But yeah, it was a nice find either way. For a seeded hunting, find a natural find, it's always nice. It doesn't happen very often anymore either, does it, Craig? The last time I heard about that has been a couple of years ago. I want to see it hunt finding. I think it was a guy that found a large scent or something like that, and it was a natural find. It wasn't planted.
Well, we had one in where was it? It was at Fort Belvoir military base, and we asked the people there if we could do a hunt, and they had this Boy Scout area, and they said we could do one there. And during the hunt, a guy found a 1800 Liberty that was spelled wrong, half dime.
Really?
And it was like super rare. And this one guy was rubbing on it. Like a guy almost punched him.
Yeah. Don't rub the name.
And then another guy found I think it was a straight bust large scent in pretty good shape. And I got a musket ball. It was a 50 caliber musket ball. Probably definitely colonial. And it caused a big ruckus. And they got almost mad at us, And we did a buried hunt where we actually buried 2 gold coins during, instead of
Right.
raffling them or whatever. We actually buried them, and we didn't have any dimes at all. We didn't have any wheat pennies. We had Indian head pennies, silver quarters, silver halves, and silver dollars. We had about 40 silver dollars we buried. And so we didn't have as many coins, but they were all like, good
nice
ones,
coins.
yeah, big ones, and these people got so mad because, we buried these gold coins, and one of them got found right off the bat, and but then the last one didn't get found, and so finally this guy said, he said, I got this signal a little while ago, and I didn't dig it because it sounded like trash.
Oh, God.
And he takes it up, it's a gold coin.
Yeah.
He goes, man, this thing reads funny. It doesn't read like and I go, no, it's gold.
You see, it's a low conductor, dude. That's why it's so important to me. If you just doubt it any little bit, stop and dig it. You'll see me do it in my videos. I mean, I'll say, man, that's iron, but I got to dig it. It's just something about it doesn't sound right. Usually it's something non-ferrous in with something iron. That's, these VDI numbers and even the sounds can be, something that sounds different isn't always bad. I mean, you run into some of and even big iron, you can dig some really cool stuff up. I mean, and plus you're getting it out of the way. We preach that all the time, it seems like. And, a lot of you do. I mean, this is more for the newcomers and stuff, but I mean, I've had those days where I've walked on a target and had to come back to dig it. Have to see what it is by the end of the day because it just drove me nuts. We actually, it was Bill Marsh, or not Bill Marsh, Bill Pendergrass and Tom Bunch. Craig, the guy that found, he found that breastplate and everything out there, but. We had that signal on top of the mountain over there in Tennessee, and me and Bill both could get it with the V6s, and we were lifting the coil off the ground like, a foot, and still getting the signal. Now, Tom Bunch couldn't get it with the V5, and we got dug down and hit these flat rocks, like they were laid over top of it, and we got two of them out of the way, and this third one was really big, and, the first thing we thought of was just taking a wrecking bar and busting that, to break it up some to get that piece out of there. Because I swear, I don't know what it was underneath there. It was definitely a big target, whatever it was. And we kept on saying that's where the Confederates all were lined across that ridge and firing down into the valley right there at the Union soldiers going down the old roadbed where I was digging all the 69 calibers and 58 calibers out of. Down there, but I always wondered if they buried a bunch of bullets or artillery or cannonball and this ground up there, you dig down 2 inches, you were hitting rock. So all the targets up on that hill had pretty much been, you might find a 22 round or something like that from, modern, but anything old was hit by a man. And I'm trying to remember his name now. Tom told me, and he's kind of like a legend in the hobby. But he had hunted the property, I guess, 4 or 5 times, and he hit that whole side of the mountain. And so, even with old technology, 2 inches down ain't nothing. They can hit it. So, we never did go back up there and do that, though. And it still haunts me. I think it does Bill and Tom also, but they could still do it because they're up in Tennessee. They live up that way. To go up on that mountain just to see what's underneath there because it was such a... I mean, I turned the discrimination all the way up, toggle 1, didn't matter. Bang, bang, bang. And then, I thought it was my detector, and Bill had the same thing, and then, Tom hit it with the V5 and couldn't even get a signal on it. Weirdest doggone thing. But, you'll have those targets, to haunt you. And then, other times, you might dig. So what if you dig, 3 iron things, if you get, the next target's a gold coin or a whatever, something really cool. That's what it's about. You don't really know what anything is until you get it out of the ground anyway. So, even with the ballistical, I mean, that a couple of those that cast iron stirrup kept banging through. But cast iron is weird. I figured that out a long time ago. It doesn't react like normal iron does. It'll sound, you can actually put some discrimination. It'll actually come through with discrimination, anyways. At least on a Bristol, the way it does. I'm like, okay, a cast iron. I figured it was going to be a cast iron, I don't know, stove part or something like we normally find, or an old iron or something like that. And never thought it was going to be a stirrup, So, and I still got that thing soaking in molasses, Craig. Been over almost 2 weeks now, and it's still. I don't want to hit it with the wire brush, man. It scared me. I don't want to break it up.
Well, just brush it, lightly with, a toothbrush or something, just to see what what the surface looks like first.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those clean, don't clean situations. I kind of want.
Yeah. That's the one thing you learn through trial and error when you first start metal detecting. It's like I've seen so many people ruin good things, by over cleaning. You want to keep the patina on, pretty much, but iron's kind of different. You want to try to preserve it, but sometimes, it's just not going to look good. It's just going to be, you get those blisters and stuff.
Yeah.
The thing about the molasses is it has a chelating effect. So sometimes it will, it'll kind of soften off those bubbles and stuff.
Right.
Those carbuncles or whatever they are. But, sometimes, if you do electrolysis, you want to do it real, low and kind of, take your time on it. Don't, try to zap it real hard at first.
Yeah, I just kind of just got to think I'm going to leave this one. I'm going to brush it off, so maybe soak it for another day or two to see what it does. And I was kind of hoping I could get supposedly on the bottom of these, it could have a U.S. on it, which would make it a U.S. cavalry kind of, stirrup, which would be from the 1820s, 30s, somewhere in there. The Indian Wars down here and everything else. But that's what I was hoping. I've always wanted to find one, but it's always been a Civil War era. I never thought about finding one earlier than that. That's the first one I've ever found like this one in 20 years I've been out here detecting and stuff. But it kind of, even the bit is unique. Something I haven't seen down here in Florida anyways, and I know that the history goes back so far, even into Spanish, because I think the Spanish were here from 1535 to 1753 or something like that. I don't know, somewhere in there. They occupied Florida, so I mean, the chances of finding an old, Spanish, conquistadors, I don't know, stirrup, and some of those get really, really fancy, Craig. I was looking those up online from like,
yeah.
My God, they're beautiful. It's like a piece of artwork, But that was bling for their for their horse and their saddle, These old ornate, saddle parts and bridle parts. Even the bits are unique to the rider if he's a horseman. Really, I've seen some what look to be very, very aggressive bits, but they're not meant to be yanked on and pulled on. It was like power steering units for your horse. You make a horse spin right around. You're not hurting them. They just know to move that way because of these, the different ways the bits are shaped and everything else. I'm not a horseman by any means. I ride, but it's been a while. But, with these, we used to call them these old, I guess you'd call them trail horses, which were really all they were. All they were is horses. We went down to the auction and bought a bunch of horses. I mean, it might be 20 head, might be 50 head, and we'd bring them in there and find out what all the vices were with them, because every horse has one, whether you're, it's afraid of a brush, afraid of a blanket, afraid of you use a hack bridle or instead of a, snaffle bit or whatever, they all have their issues. It's like dealing with a 5-year-old, they panic, they do this and that, but we'd figure them out what their problems were, and, we just knew how to handle them. And that's where I got used to all these bits and saddles and stuff like that, because we just had, we probably had 150 saddles. I mean, all different types, all different makers. Even I hated them, the English saddles and stuff. I never could ride those, with those saddles at all. I'd rather just ride bareback on them. But it's interesting, all the different tack items that you can find out there. You get into a horse ranch or something like that, down here, real old one, you might find, 150-year-old saddle parts and really fancy ornate stuff. So, and we even in silver saddles, Craig. I mean, I think we had 4 or 5 of those, and just decked out with sterling silver all over them, and real deal stuff. And that stuff falls off. We lost pieces, and the leather gets old, and we find a lot of the rivets and stuff. I know that. You found bunches of those up there just from the probably Civil War cavalry saddles and stuff popping through. The old brass or copper, whatever they were.
Yeah, you get these big old rivets, like a double rivet almost, and you also find like those little saddle shields in these Calvary camps. You'll find you'll find pistol bullets, where you don't find those in an infantry camp much, and you find a lot of sharps, carbine bullets, stuff like that. But cavalry guys, you'll find stirrups, spurs and stuff like that in a cavalry camp. It's kind of funny that the amount of stuff you usually find in a cavalry camp isn't usually as much as you find in the infantry camps.
Right.
You don't usually find many. You don't find U.S. buckles a lot of times because they'd have the saber belt plate probably. Yeah, it's kind of a different kind of a camp usually.
Right.
A lot of them, we'd find like little small picket posts where there was cavalry guys obviously there, and they'd have maybe 4 or 5 hut sites, but there would be so many Eagle C buttons, especially cuff buttons that you'd find. That was one of the better finds in the cavalry camps. The big ones, some of the big ones, man, it was unbelievable how many horseshoes were in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
We had this one camp where we just stuck them on the limbs of the trees.
Yeah, all over.
We'd bring guys. We'd come up there a couple of weeks later, and some guys would want to take their first bullet, or something, and so we'd go, "Oh, we know a place to take you. We'll take you up to this cavalry camp," and they'd walk in the woods and go, "Oh my God, what are all those horseshoes the trees for?" We go, "Oh, we get them out of the way so so we find other targets, And
just don't meddle and tucked underneath the tree, guys. You get a headache.
Yeah. Well, it was a pine forest. That was another thing. Every time we find a cavalry camp, it used to be in a pine woods.
Really?
The pines would they chop everything down, and the pines would take over. Be the first.
Oh yeah.
Things that would take over.
The fastest growing.
Yeah, and most of like Stafford County had been cut to the ground. I mean, there was like places where there wasn't but 5 trees in 20 miles. After they got through that winter of 1863, it was 150,000 troops camped there the whole winter.
I got to tell you this one, Craig. We were talking about the horse stuff and everything, and Bill Mars, so you can imagine, says, Derek, what type of bit would you recommend for my 5'2", 120-pound ball of fire wife? And I think I'm gonna leave that one alone, Bill. I got one of those high-spirited cracker women down here. Yeah, I don't want to say anything wrong. I might get hit. I always pick on Pauline all the time. I tell her, they call crackers down here, and I tell her, honey, you're not a cracker. She goes, I've been down here all my life. I said, yeah, you've been down here for 13 generations, so it doesn't make you a cracker, it makes you a saltine. She just starts laughing. But she's got the attitude, I'll tell you that much. But I'm gonna leave that one alone, Bill. I think I don't want to mess with your wife. She might hurt you. But I'll see you guys get me cackling like that. But yeah, no, Craig, where were we? Oh, you're talking about the cavalry and everything.
Yeah.
Jeez. But yeah, I mean, I just never know what I'm going to find over there. I'm looking forward. I've been wanting to go for at least a week and head back over there. But man, the weather down here, like I said, we just yesterday was our first little cold snap that we had. Really, we had like a 1 day of nice, reasonably comfortable weather about 2 weeks ago, and then it went right back to humidity and everything. But I think we're going to have a weird, hard winter. I think it's what it's going to come down to down here. I might be wrong. It just seems like everything's kind of wishy-washy this year. Craig, remember how you had one of those years where it snowed all the way until I think it was May or something like that. It's been a couple of years ago. How weird the weather was. That's what it's starting to feel like down here. The weather.
Well, we had
changing.
Last year. We had snow on April 31st.
Yeah, and I was telling Pauline this would be the year it snows in Florida. We get a somewhat of a.
I'm sorry. It was March 31st. I think the latest I've seen snow the year before that, it was I think April 10th.
It was weird, yeah. But yeah, I mean that's what I was talking about down here. I think it'll get cold enough to snow down here if as long as it. They're talking about 40 degrees here shortly, and that's kind of a little bit low for this time. Not much, but usually we get what we call low temperatures between December and February. We get a couple 2 weeks there where it might get 28 degrees, that kind of, which is not cold to a lot of you all, around the country. You guys probably be down, below zero, it seems like, but down here we have so much humidity it just makes it feel 20 degrees colder than it is. It's a wet cold kind of thing. But I don't mind hunting.
It's weird. It's weird today outside that the sun is like at a weird extreme angle now.
Right, it's a solstice or whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Yeah. Plus we got the Allegheny Mountains, so that the sun kind of goes behind it, so we got less light. So it turns out the light's quicker.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But yeah, I was going to tell. We were out doing the poppy drive today, for the VFW, and I noticed that sun, the angle, the way it, comes through because usually we set up over there and usually get shade most of the day. And today it was like you're in a direct sunlight, at your back. I'm like, what the heck? Changing up a little bit, but pretty much, I was thinking about these videos too. We kind of got off topic, back on topic, kind of thing, but. You come to this winter time, when these guys can't hunt anymore because they're all snowed in and everything. What kind of videos, are you watching? How what kind of content? How are they portraying it? That kind of thing. Because we all have our favorite people that make videos, and whether it's I don't know, Hoover Boys, Stealth Diggers, whatever. And you're watching them. They all have different styles, so to speak.
One of the guys I've been watching for probably 8 months or maybe longer is this guy Jake. I can't remember what his last name is, but he does his channel is D Almighty, and he does river treasure, where he dives, and
right.
He's kind of spread out where he's at first he was just eyeballing, now he's using detectors and stuff, and he went to this place like in Canada the other day, and they used they did a video, and this guy they dig these purple amethysts, and he dug probably about $50,000 worth of them out of this place. They were like blowing up holes in the cliff to find them, but all kinds of adventures. And he's now the biggest treasure hunter on YouTube. He's got I think it's 9 million subscribers.
Oh, I didn't realize he was that popular. I've watched his videos too.
Yeah.
I guess I never really looked at it.
Anyway, last night, this is really funny. I was looking on my analytics on my YouTube channel, and I noticed that Aqua Chigger had just subscribed to my channel.
Ah, that's cool.
and I've been a big fan of his for years. He does. I've been watching him for 7 or 8 years, probably.
At least that long. Yeah.
But anyway, I hadn't watched a video of his in a little while, and so I turned it on, and there he was with this guy Jake down there in I think it's Chattahoochee River or something in Georgia. Can't remember what it's called, but they find all this stuff, and they open like these floodgates that, you know, pushes all this stuff down real fast, and and they go out there and they find all kinds of phones and fishing lures, and they clean up the river. He's got two other friends. There's three of them that do it all the time down there. But anyway, he invited Aqua Chigger to come down and hunt. I'm hoping that Aqua Chigger will take him, you know, some Civil War hunting.
Yeah,
that would be pretty neat to see. But but anyway, this guy Jake, he's gone. You know, like he flies to like Hawaii, and they hear about this waterfall in the middle of the jungle in Hawaii. So they hike there, and they take. I don't know if they took metal detectors the first time, but I know they did the second time. But they dive down, and they find like five. I think one guy found 5 Apple Watches and 3 phones, and Jake found like 9 phones and 2 Apple Watches and a gold ring. And, you wouldn't believe the sunglasses they find in the rivers and stuff. It's just amazing. I mean, some days they find 100. You know, one time they went out with 5 guys. They must have had about 300 or 400 pairs of sunglasses.
Jeez.
You wouldn't believe the phones they find. Beads, like these necklaces with these big beads in them. They all look the same that these girls wear, I guess.
Oh, it's like a Mardi Gras beads or whatever you want to call it. The parade beads, yeah.
And they go to like these famous places where there's this long stretch, 25-mile stretch where these guys they raft up and down the river, and there's like 25,000 people doing it on a holiday weekend.
Really?
You know?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And you wouldn't believe the stuff they find in the water that's dropped. And it's gotten so where Jake's so famous now. The kids when they see him, they just start screaming, "There's that guy Jake!" You know, they all want to come over. They all want to be on his YouTube channel. And, you know, the parents. Some of the parents come over and they go, "We're both subscribed to your channel." All this stuff, you know. But you know, he's just a good guy, you know, and he extra bag, and he collects trash that's off the bottom of the river. And I have to say, you know, I river hunted creeks, you know, off the tributary, you know, the little tributaries off the Potomac, you know, metal detecting in the water, and I was amazed how many beer cans were in the water.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it was a mess. I mean, I started joking. I said, yeah, boating and beer go hand in hand, it seems like.
You would think, Craig, that environmentalists would just love us, you know, as a hobbyist group, because, you know, we dig so much garbage out of fields and woods and parks and beaches and in the water. You'd think the environmentalists would just love us and pay us to do it. You know, having fun, you know, because of all the junk we dig. I dig more 1950s and 60s cans and steel and, everything you can think of.
Another thing these guys do, and he says it's good for the hobby, and I agree, is try to find out this missing stuff if you can to get it back to the people.
Right.
And so he's actually figured out how to find sometimes you can do it on the phone if it's it'll come on. Sometimes it's a little bit waterlogged, and he'll put it in a bag of rice and stuff, and he'll actually try it out and get it working, and he'll go up. Sometimes he'll find out who the person is and just knock on the door.
So here's your cell phone. Don't take it in the water no more.
And they're looking at him like, and he's going, Did you lose a cell phone? And they're like, oh yeah, how do you know? And he goes, is this it? And they go, like screaming. But it's gotten so where people started calling him, and asking him, can you find stuff? And he's found people's gold rings. He found a $25,000 gold ring for a person.
Oh wow!
and it's gotten so where he's so popular that this guy in the Bahamas that owns like this whole island, and he takes people out on chartered fishing boats and stuff, and then they go back, and he has his own restaurant where you actually cook your own stuff there, and party and stuff. You know, it's just beautiful. It's high dollar, big, you know, super rich go there, and so they had him there, and he was actually diving down into this hole that, you know, where all these, you know, rich people were swimming and stuff, and he found like 5 or 6 gold rings. You know, you know, it was amazing. You know, the stuff that people drop in the water. Another time they went to this place right off. It's a big, I guess, a lake or off of Chicago, and there's like this skyline, and all the $1 million boats all park out there in the water. And so they got this idea. They saw it in a magazine, and they said, man, I'll bet those people dropped a lot of stuff. You know, they're all rich. So they started, you know, they went up there, and they, you know, they got scuba gear on and everything, and they go down, and they start finding watches and rings and
God, I imagine.
And you know, some of these sunglasses go for like $200 or more.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's these ones called Costas, and I never even heard of them. I wear Ray-Bans. I thought they were expensive.
I don't know. I just can't. You know, sunglasses is a whole new kind of collecting right there, Craig. Some people really, you know, they like their sunglasses. By God, they have whole collections of them. Like kind of like some people in shoes and stuff like that. You know. But yeah, I find down here in St. Pete Beach, and after a storm, I'll just dig pair after pair of sunglasses. I mean, they have barnacles on them. They've been there so long, you know what I mean? It's like, what the heck?
Another thing they do is they look for guns.
Yeah.
And when I first started watching, he was really concentrating on getting guns, and so they were going to like these bridges, you know, that were, you know, they figured people at night, you know, you could just go down the bridge, flip it out the window, and there it's gone. It's in the river, you know, nobody will ever find it, you know. And
now they are.
I guess he heard, and so it was unbelievable. They were finding like assault rifles and shotguns and all kinds of.
We are a trashy ancestors and people sometimes. You know, Craig, you think about all the bottle dumps and the can dumps and the waterways. I know cars go missing. I mean, I've dug up when I was a kid. We got this homemade kind of hook thing on a rope, and we were essentially magnet fishing out in the creek. And you know, well, it wasn't a magnet, but anyways, we got hooked onto something, started pulling it up. We finally got the thing broke free, and turned out to be a mini bike. You know, and you're 9 or 10 years old pulling that out of there. Like, oh man, I got a mini bike, even though you know you're never gonna get it running again. But you know, just junk that people just threw in the water, man. It almost makes you sad in a way. But when I get onto these sites, they
bring up, you know, they bring up stuff and they don't know what it is.
Right,
you know, they're trying to figure it out. It's amazing. It's really funny. And then, like, you know, they were at this one place, and I guess it was near a school, and right near the ladder or something, right in the water, they found 2 laptops, and they were like school laptops.
Really?
Some kids from the school had thrown these laptops away, and so they traced it back to the school, and they walk in and show the administrator, and they go, "Oh my God, we're going to be able to find out who did that." You know?
Yep.
And there's something like that. You know, that was pretty funny. You know, but it's funny, they, you know, when they find these guns, they call the police, you know, and have them come down. And it's gotten so that the police know them, and so then they ask them. They've actually called Jake and his buddies to, you know, help them find, like, somebody threw some evidence out in the water. Can you help us? You know, and so they can go down there and do that. But and then they were shocked at how much junk they were bringing up, you know. And there's a big place where people can kind of like hang out on this railing and look out over the water. And that's where a lot of stuff gets dropped, you know,
Yeah.
and it's kind of a steep drop down to the water, and then it's kind of deep there, and so, you know, basically nobody's going to get it, you know, but they're always searching down there, and but they found like laptops and all kinds of stuff down there, but people will, you know, say, wow, you know, they'll, you know, they can't believe all the junk that these people, you know, they're finding, you know, they'll you know, they'll find like 50, 60 beer cans and bottles, you know, in 3 hours, and that they dump them all in the recycling bins and stuff.
I don't know, even detecting this place over here, I think about just throwing another 5 gallon bucket in my truck. And if you drive a pickup truck and you metal detect, folks, you usually have about, at least from any given time, about 50 to 60 pounds of scrap metal in the back of your vehicle. That's what it seems like. That's what mine's like. I remember seeing Nugget Noggin with his pickup truck, a couple of years ago. Craig, remember you looking at the back and all you see is every kind of piece of iron, horseshoes and chunks of lead and all kinds of brass and copper wire, and we end up with a whole bunch of stuff. We clean up the property real good, and you know, believe it or not, you know, for you guys that, you know, maybe just getting started in this, you know, farmers love when I come through, you know, like I'm doing this plantation property. I mean, he has cows and everything else. He has thousands and thousands of dollars wrapped up in cattle, and you know, for them to get their leg caught in a piece of, you know, whether it's barbed wire, you know, the copper wire and stuff like the aluminum wires, man, they'll rip a leg up or a horse will or whatever. So yeah, they're thankful you get the stuff out of there, or they'll, you know, get that piece of iron that's sticking up out of the ground they could step on and hurt a hoof or something like that. You're saving them money and vet bills and everything else. So he's like, dig everything everything you want, you know, dig it up and get it up out of here. I'm like, all right, no problem, I'll do that. You know, he just wants to see what I'm finding. That's all he, you know, really cares. I said, well, if you really like something I found, you know, I'll begrudgingly give it to you. You know, I'm not gonna, you know, I probably have another one. The only thing I really care about, Craig, is stuff that I haven't found yet. You know, I mean, items like like a real or something. If I found a real in the ground, I'm gonna want to keep that first one. You know, because it's the first one you found, that kind of thing. But you know, I've been showing him bottles. You know, I dug a few bottles out there and this and that, and he thinks it's all cool. He's, oh yeah, take it. Like, okay, great. You know, it works for me because at least I'll display it and stuff like that. But he just wants the stuff out of there more than anything else, and he just happens to own a ranch, ranch home and property that's been around for, well, he traced it back 200 years anyway, so it's, you know, that's pretty good for down here. And you know, whatever I find, I find. You know, so that's, I'm going to go out there tomorrow and just, I'm going to enjoy the cool, Craig. I might need to bring a jacket. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. I just want to get out there and find some more goodies there. I need to do too. I think I put up one video, just some, you know, I think it's the one with the stirrup in it and stuff. And I have another one I was kind of putting together. I didn't really find a whole lot of, I didn't find a coin yet, Craig, but I keep on finding these brass pieces. I think I may be in the front yard or something. I don't know, back by a barn or something. I have to figure out where the house was. I'm running into a few bricks, which back then they probably made it out of wood. I don't know where the bricks are coming from, but maybe it's
a fireplace or something.
Yeah, man, that's what I was kind of thinking. I wasn't sure because I knew they made them out of that kind of limestone brick kind of thing. It's just that where the tree's located, where I'm finding the majority of the activity as far as barn activity is like right in the center of the 40-acre spot right there. So I kind of got to figure out whether the house is behind or in front of that point where the barn I think was. And once I find that, I'll know, they had clotheslines, I'm sure, and privies and all that other stuff, and I'll start finding I would think at least more household items kind of thing. And a lot of times down here, if they really like the spot, if the house is just shoddy, it's usually ate up with termites. They either pushed it down, burned it down, whatever, and there'll be a ton of activity, almost like a cellar hole site where you have 10 blue million nails. You'll start running into square nails and stuff like that. And I know I'm close to the actual house. That's when it's going to get good. That's where the coins will be. That's where the jewelry will be, if there is any. Some of these old houses, I find button button spills like crazy, Craig, because they used to have like a little sewing room, and they'd have all these old buttons, and I found a couple Eagle cuffs, and along with more modern, like within the last, I don't know, 50 years. It was a house that burned down right there, and that's where all the buttons fell. And you had all these, buttons that spanned many, many years in a container or whatever, and fell down to the ground and got, lost in the sand, so to speak. And you end up digging them up. I think I dug like over 150 buttons out of about a 10-foot by 10-foot area. So, but you find, all kinds of stuff.
I get a lot of these mother of pearl buttons up here.
Yeah, I noticed that. That's like the fifth one you've gotten in the last year, anyways, isn't it? Something like that.
More than that, actually. Up at the other side, up the street, is where I got a lot of.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I showed the people that own the property. I showed the lady, some of those buttons. She goes, "Oh my God, my mother had this when I was a child." On her jacket. That's pretty wild, isn't it? But some of them, are like 2 hole, some are 4 hole, and then some are they actually have like a carved out piece so that when you put the thread through it, it kind of doesn't stick up above the button. It kind of is in a little hole, in a little slant. But and then there's some that have like a little knob on the back of it with a hole through it. So there's all kinds of different styles. Most of them are pretty small, though.
Yeah, I found. Well, as a matter of fact, I posted a picture of it. This has been, God, I found this with the whites. I found a button and it actually had a train on it, looked like a artistic button almost, because the train was very defined or whatever. It wasn't cartoony at all. But I found this button in that same area in that button spill, along with a couple Eagle cuffs, and it turned out to be, at the time they told me, that's just some kind of a blazer button or something like that. And I was kind of disappointed because it looked really old and everything. And it turns out about a year later, I was looking at another button I found, and I'm coming across a picture of a guy that found one, and they actually dated it to Civil War era railroad button, which was pretty cool. I found one of those in Central Florida, but with the Orange Belt Railway and stuff, it still predates that even. But I found that, alongside of some Civil War cuff buttons, and then other, like more, like the ones with the Eagles with the, it looks like it would be a Navy button, but it's actually a blazer button. You know which one I'm talking about, Craig? They're kind of popular. People always think they're naval buttons, but they're not. They have it's not shaped the right way or whatever. It's not the right design. But I found a lot of those there too. So they must have had like a whole mixture of them. Buttons I always like finding buttons and tokens because they'll date a site really easy. I've actually found even like an Alabama tax token. A lot of the ones I found were the aluminum or zinc. I don't know what. I think it's aluminum with the hole in the middle. It's kind of a square hole, if I remember right. No, it's round. But I actually found a 5-cent token from Alabama from 1901 or something like that. It's this little, probably about the size of a half dime, Craig. Probably smaller than that. It's real tiny. At least the one I have is. But it says 5 cents. I think it's about the size of a half dime. But I found that thing at about, 6.5, 7 inches down. And that was with the MXT, which really shocked me. I just had the 950 coil on there, that's concentric, and it must just hit it just right. But you could date a site, well, at least I know it's back to then anyways. You find a lot of those tax tokens from Alabama and Nebraska, or at least I do down here, and they're like the little washer-looking aluminum ones. But that's that one Alabama. It's the only one I've ever found. I know I see them on the internet, so I know they're out there. It's not like it's rare or anything. I just found it kind of funny. I never really come across them down here very often, the copper ones. So, that's kind of what I'm looking for on this new side. Just anything I'm finding, the ball, glass, the porcelain inserts, and I find the older style, the copper, not the copper ones, porcelain ones. I meant the vice versa, whatever. But you find so many of these old things and old implements and old, this and that, that every time you dig something up, you just don't even know what it is. I like that kind of excitement, you know. You dig and you're not waiting 10 minutes for a target. You're going, 10 seconds and hitting another target. That's crazy fun. So, kind of like your yard, Craig, but with a lot more non-ferrous items and a little bit less trash. Because it almost can be almost too busy sometimes. When if I can find the main house, that's I can kind of navigate where they had their get-togethers, where they hung the clothes up. The clotheslines, I love them because you think about they hang most of their clothes by the pant leg, or at least they do down here. And so if anything's left in the pocket, if there was pockets, it's falling out on the ground right there. So, and shirt buttons blow off and everything else. So,
it's like in my yard. I don't know if you were there. Were you there when the fence was up?
Yeah, the fence was still up. Yep.
Well, right on the other side street, there's a strip of grass and a sidewalk, and that's where I found most of the wheat pennies and dimes, silver coins and stuff, and a lot of bullets and buttons along there. And that was my neighbors told me that that fence had been put up in the I think around early 1940s to keep the kids. There was 5 or 6 boys that lived in that house, and they put the fence up to keep those kids from running in the street. From the first day, they were jumping over the fence.
Yeah, I remember you telling me.
So there was coins all up and down there, Mercury dimes. I only found 1 Roosevelt silver dime, and I found probably 4 or 5 barbers, but a lot of Mercuries, and I only found I think 2 silver quarters. But,
Bill's picking on me. I got my words messed up, and Bill's picking on me now. Go ahead, Chris.
But I remember when I first, I think the first swing that I did in the yard, right by the curb, I dug a Walking Liberty $50. It was the second silver coin I ever dug. And when I started hunting that little strip, it was loaded. I mean, I was thinking, in 15 minutes I'd get 10 or 15 wheat pennies, and maybe two dimes, and 2, 3 ringers, and maybe a pistol bullet. It was just, first probably 10 times I went in there, I was digging a handful of stuff every time. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah,
but, some of the stuff is only 2 inches deep.
Oh yeah, that's like the place I'm to like swing your coil. I mean, man, bam, you getting a hit, even if it's a big iron. It's like, okay, what is this going to be now? I don't even guess anymore in the video. I'm like, well, might be a shotgun shell. Nope, it's whatever.
Yeah. But you got to dig it. I saw a video the other day where a guy was complaining about these shotgun shells, and he goes, I'm a veteran. I've been doing this for a long time. And he goes, I dig it, and I go, here's another one coming up. And he digs this really cool metal, that's brass metal, that was from mid-1800s, and he's going, see, this is what happens, every once in a while. You got to dig those shotgun shells. And I used to tell people those 12th Georges sound just like an eagle button.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You got to dig them. They almost read the exact same on the meter even.
Well, at least too, Craig, is your detector's working doggone good, especially, I'm digging those things at 15, 16 inches down in the ground. I'm like, okay, that's a coin-sized target. And a lot of mine are the short brass, or not the long, the brass different lengths, where these are real short brass, probably 1/4 inch, maybe 1/2 inch. And that's it. That's all you have. It's almost like a coin-sized target. So if you're hitting those at 12, 13, 14 inches down on the ground, you're going to hit a penny at 10, easily. So, they're good. Keep you digging something. I've dug them for 2 months, Craig.
Well,
I'm pretty well versed in shotgun shells.
Sometimes if you're in a Civil War area and there's a lot of shotgun shells, that's good, because that means nobody's hunted that.
Yep.
And they could be an area where you're going to find more stuff. You just have to clean the top stuff out. Some of those areas in Stafford, the ground is real sandy, so the shotgun shells would be down, some might be down 6-7 inches deep.
Yep.
You're just sure that was going to be a button, but you just got to dig them.
Yeah. Mike Boyles is on here. He goes, Derek, you remember how cold it got during the last Florida Hunt 4 hunt? I think it was Florida Hunt 4. I said, yeah, that's when I made a video, and Mike Miller was dressed up like Nanook of the North. I brought my mom to that one. She was all bundled up. I'm out there in a T-shirt. I'm loving it. But yeah, Dwight Collin and Mark Hoover, and God, there was a whole bunch of them, a bunch of hunters from Central Florida come up. I can't remember names. I'll be better with faces. But yeah, it was down, I think, 41 degrees or something. It always feels colder down here because of that humidity, and they were all bundled up, and I'm just sitting there loving it. I wait for that weather every year because it's just cold enough where you almost kind of need a jacket, but if you start digging a lot of targets, you're going to warm up quick. That's the kind of weather I love. So I'm hoping that's the way it's going to be tomorrow morning. My wife's ready to tell me to go out detecting right now with a flashlight because I've been bugging her all day. I can go hunting tomorrow. I've been real busy with everything up there at the post, the VFW post, and the dinners and all that kind of stuff that we do for fundraisers, and we're doing a big car show next Saturday, and then the Marine Corps birthdays on Sunday, and then we do a Veterans Day huge deal. Well, for us, it's huge. Hamburgers and hot dogs and everything. We're right down less than like a mile and a half from the National Cemetery down here, so we get a lot of bikers that come through, and families, whatever, doesn't matter. They all come in there. All the honor guards stop in, so we're putting on a big, hamburgers, hot dogs, French fries, that kind of just a regular old American meal for them. But we'll probably have, probably 600 or 700 people come through there. So we've been kind of planning and trying to get all our ducks in a row and everything for this stuff, because some of this stuff is the first time we've tried it and everything, these car shows. And I'm not I haven't gone to a lot of car shows myself, but I think I got it set up right. We'll see. But it'll be fun anyways, Craig. You meet some new people and everything, and do some good anyways for our troops and stuff like that are back home, retired, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, that's what I've been doing the last, 2 or 3 weeks. It's been kind of crazy for me, but I'm going to get out tomorrow and play a little while anyways. And I told my wife, I said, yeah, you expect a lot more of this. It used to be crazy. I kind of got spoiled over the years, because before, about 4 or 5 years ago, there wasn't probably hunted 5 days a week, 4 days a week. I mean, we're talking, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day. Like a regular job almost, just having fun kind of thing, and pretty much not being able to do that, in the last 2 years, that kind of drove me crazy. I always call Craig guys, and I was like, I'm going hunting tomorrow, and Craig Smith said, maybe your luck will change. So all the shotgun shells and lead I've saved the environment this month, or this past couple of months.
Well, I was right about going to that site.
Yep.
That'll go for a while.
Oh yeah,
that's at least you found some stuff, and that's an intriguing site. You didn't even really touch it much yet.
No, I barely scratched the surface. I think I've hunted a total of 2 hours there, or something like that, 3 hours. It just that other property, that Tollbridge property. My God, that was just driving me insane, because it's just like you hunt harder and harder and harder. You think you got, the stuff was there, but trying to find it, and all I was finding is bullets and shotgun shells for 2 months straight, and probably hunted it twice a week, and that for several hours.
You ought to go in there and cherry pick that place the next time, and not dig any iron, but go for the good targets. Just see if you can get a good point out of there.
Yeah, just go after the coins for right now. See if you can date it.
Then you'll know at least where the people were. Probably the house was, or closer to it. That's where they're probably dropping the coins. So
I'm going to run in toggle one. Just leave it toggle one and go through it.
You need to find a coin or two that's old to see, what kind of age is on that place. That's going to help you. Kind of.
I think so too.
I mean, it's got to be old. I mean, that stirrup looks pretty
Yeah,
and
that
that little
tree
saddle
is.
shield. I
Yeah,
found those in Civil War sites, the ones that just like that.
just like that. Okay, yeah, because I thought it was a pretty
Yeah,
piece of furniture, a hardware, but I didn't realize. You told me before it was a. I didn't realize that's what they look like, a little saddle shield there. But yeah, I found that probably 20 feet from where the.
it's just like a brass horse tack,
Yeah,
Uh,
that's where the piece of leather would come through it, right? That
I
cut.
think so, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it makes sense. I mean, it could have been nailed right to the tree, or tacked to the tree, or whatever of the saddle. Never even thought about that. But yeah, I think I will do that. I'll just and it's going to kill me, Craig, because I don't like cherry picking that much. But yeah, I need to date that site or find out where the activity was a little bit better. I'm running into a little bit of modern stuff, but it's he uses a chain link fence, one that's ripped up a little bit to drag the field, and now it's starting to, like the pieces of aluminum wire are starting to break off, and they'll end up in in the pasture. So you find random modern things, but I find a lot of stuff from the mixed in, like 1920 stuff, and obviously older. Just I need to find a couple coins, at least to put it within a couple of decades of when it was. Anyways, I really expected actually to find a couple Indian heads or something, and they're probably there, Craig. They're probably buried in all that junk, steel and everything. That's probably exactly what's going on. I didn't, I dug those bottles up. That's funny. That tree, I'm probably 20, 30 feet from that tree. It has roots on it, probably 2 foot across, but I haven't hit a root one really. Digging down, it's always been in between everything.
There's probably stuff underneath that trunk down under it.
Oh my God, I think it's huge though. Yeah, I've been looking.
It's probably probably was a big tree 200 years ago.
He's telling me in that video, you hear him say that he has a guy that dated that tree 5, maybe even 600 years old. I don't even know if that's possible. I don't know. It's the biggest tree I think I can ever remember seeing down here in Florida. So yeah, it's I've seen trees half its size that I thought that looked pretty doggone old. So yeah, I mean you can very well have 300 years of history, 400 years of history underneath it anyway. I know it's older than 150 years old. I know that for sure, just by the sheer size of it. But the tree limbs, where that the crotch of that tree is, where it spreads out, there's like three or four main limbs. One of those that hangs out over there is about as big as the tree is at the base. So yeah, it's incredible, just weird. Kind of, I think it's like my wife calls it a legacy oak. You have live oaks, grandfather oaks down here. This is like a legacy oak. This is our legend oak. So old, but just thinking about the history that's around. I think a couple people commented on that photo like that. Think about all the things that tree has seen. That's kind of the way I look at a lot of these sites. That's why I find the river, the Toll Bridge property so interesting and everything else, the activity that happened around it. This is kind of like obviously a different spot, still in Central Florida. There was a lot of stuff go on in this county and a couple counties around me, historically wise, that you don't hear a lot about. You hear about the riverboat system they had here. It's not. I think I've put a couple of photos up of the oldest, one that was along this stretch of the Withlacoochee River. And it's just kind of neat to look back in time and imagine those going up and down this river. Of course, the river's a lot lower than it used to be and all this other stuff. But it was like the Wild West out here. So kind of neat. People don't always think about sand, sandy beaches and palm trees when they think about Florida. But there's some wild stuff that went on down here. But yeah, buddy, we're about up here 9:30 there. Probably going to wrap it up. Make sure you guys turn your clocks back, fall back, tonight or whatever it is. I think it's tonight. I hope you all have a fun Veterans Day.
I'm glad my phone does it automatically.
Yeah, I'm glad mine does too, because I'll forget. I'll wake up, oh my God, I'm late. But but anyways, guys, have a good holiday season. Be safe out there. Get out there and hunt if you can. I know a lot of you are going to be in snow here before too long for sure, if you're not already. I think shoot, up in Colorado, they're already getting pounded over there near Denver. That's where my daughter's at, and they've got a couple of bad snowstorms already. So, guys, have fun
They're
out
having
there.
some records.
Yep.
They're having some records out there already. It's early.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. But yeah, do some digging. Like the shows, follow the shows there. All the shows on Spreaker deal with metal detecting. There's a lot of good ones out there. And we'll talk to you again on Monday morning, 7 a.m. The morning drive, Craig. So, the morning detect. There you go. But have a good night, everybody. Keep digging, and God bless.